What's up, everybody? Welcome back to EVE Online. Now, we've wrapped up the career agents over here on the right side of the screen, and it's now left to you and to us to figure out what we're going to do with our lives in EVE Online. And this is very much like the question you might ask yourself on a normal basis about your life outside of EVE Online. But, unlike your real life, someone has spent a lot of time and energy thinking about this very question and has laid out a flowchart that you should see. Now, I just went to images.google.com and searched EVE Online careers and found this image, and it's, yeah. So let me just show it to you here. Let's see. There we go. All right, now, this is what you can do with your life in EVE Online. Now, I'll zoom in here in a second, but just in general, they've got a legend here, which we'll look at. There's sections like PvE, and that's player versus the environment. There's PvP. Let me move the microphone so that actually can be speaking towards it. PvP right here. You've got industry and production, hauling, extraction. And then some of this is just like external stuff, and this is actually kind of what I'm doing here with these videos, which is, helping people and answering questions and doing little guides and streaming and things. So let's just jump right into it. Personally, I'm much more familiar with the PvE aspects of it, and that includes like right over to here or so. So all right, so let's look at the legend. So the left little arrows are the difficulty. The right arrows are the kind of financial investment that you're going to need to make in order to, get involved in this. So let's scroll right over. So again, this is the PvP or PvE section. And if you want to get into, I'm just going to work left to right here. So this whole video is going to be talking about this, and then there'll be other videos kind of looking at in the game itself how to go about branching out into these things. And after completing all 5 of the career agents, you will have ships that can get you started in pretty much everything that we're going to go through here. So in Wormholes, you are going to, let me open up my little ship hangar so that I can talk to it more intelligently. There are a number of things that you can get into with Wormholes, and just scanning down the wormhole itself from high security or low security or null security space. But once you find one, what do you do in it? Well, there are a lot of things that you can do. So mapping them out and finding shortcuts for your corporation or for yourself. And what that means is that you can be in System A in one part of the galaxy. Maybe it's the highest security space that it is. You find a wormhole, you enter the wormhole, and there's another exit somewhere in that wormhole that you scan down. And it's actually got an exit into someplace on the clear other end of the galaxy that's, nullsec. That's a quiet little area that you and your corporation want to go and spend some time killing pirates or whatever. But so that's one thing that you can do is you get in there and you just use your scanning skills to map things out, figure out where everything connects, at least for that day. And sometimes you can even sell that information on the market or through contracts. And we can get into that much later. You can scan their gas sites, common and available in wormholes. And so you would scan those down like you would I believe it's a cosmic signature and not an anomaly, but I could be remembering that wrong. We'll get into exploration here just kind of on our own. Pirates that you find in wormholes are going to be pretty tough, and that's why you can see the second little arrow here for difficulty. And wormholes have different levels of difficulty themselves, from class 1 all the way to class 6, I think it is. So wormholes, though, offer pretty high-level loot for exploration, and whether that's, mapping out and tracking down pirate bases and killing them, or whether it's doing the actual relic and data sites, which is right here, and they go into that. Either way, some of the most lucrative exploration and wormhole or exploration work that you can do in pirate killing is happening in wormholes or null security space. But wormholes in particular are a very dangerous area, so their returns need to be appropriately high to make up for that risk. So exploration is something you can do in wormholes. You can colonize certain types of wormholes, which is to say you can build a citadel or a player-run station with your corporation there, and then sort of take ownership, quote unquote, of that particular wormhole and defend it against intruders, like we were talking earlier with wormhole mapping. The exits from your wormhole will be moving about on an almost daily, if not more often, basis, and always mapping those out and tracking them down and making sure that random people aren't coming into your wormhole and poaching your pirates or your exploration sites or whatever is something that you can do. So while you're colonizing, you can also build and manufacture drugs and all kinds of other illicit goods that wouldn't be allowed in otherwise wouldn't be allowed in like high security space, as an example. Nomadism, I don't know how you make ISK or money doing that, but moving about within the wormhole and never sort of settling down. One way to go about it is something that we may try with our little alpha ship, is you just kind of get in there and don't leave until your cargo hold is full of loot, and then you find an exit to high security space to go out and sell. Like I said, though, wormholes in general are very dangerous, and you can see that that's a highest level difficulty pursuit. And again, these are basically, I don't want to say career options, but these are ways that you can spend your time in the game to make money. You know, as you can see, some of these with the one arrow, they've been deemed as less lucrative as, you know, running a citadel and some other things here. But there are three. I think probably manufacturing is one of the biggest ways to make money, but we'll see when we get over there. So the third is this shattered systems that cannot be colonized but offer greater rewards. So it's like an even higher level difficulty wormhole. So outside of wormholes, or also including wormholes with this as we get into exploration, is you'll be tracking down those gas sites, which you saw over here in wormholes as well. And then they have DED combat sites, and these are generally, if you open up your scanner, you'll find cosmic anomalies, which I'm not in space, so I can't show it to you. But cosmic anomalies and cosmic signatures. And cosmic anomalies will show a variety of things, and like combat sites as an example. But the DED combat sites are ones that you're going to have to scan down. And those are going to be more lucrative than the ones that are just readily available as anomalies. Hacking sites are for data analysis. Relic sites are for archaeology. And both of these are very lucrative. Hacking sites, you're more likely to get like blueprints and research materials, whereas relic sites, you're going to get high-end salvage components primarily, which are worth quite a bit. Some people only will set themselves up for relic sites, and they'll completely ignore data sites. I figure if I'm out there and I'm spending the time and I'm scanning things down anyway, I might as well just do both and make money as I go. Sleeper caches are kind of like extra special combat or relic or hacking sites, whereas you get in there and there's a timer, and I think that's also, oh no wait, that's the ghost sites. That's right. So ghost sites, once you show up, there's an invisible timer that starts, and anyway, all of this is exploration. And my watch is talking to me again. All of this is exploration, where you're scanning something down, and in the case of hacking and relic sites, you're using your scanning and hacking, or your hacking and relic archaeology skills to get things out of containers and get out of there. Doing so in high security space is totally possible, but the rewards are very low. If you want to make any really significant money doing it, you're probably going to need to go to low or nullsec or wormholes to really profit from that. Sleeper caches and these other things are a little bit more complicated, and you probably want to do a bit of internet research before launching yourself into these. That's a good general rule. Before you get into something, do your homework, otherwise you're likely going to lose your ship. So from there, we'll just move to the right here. We've got ratting, which is going and killing pirates, and that's where the word rat comes from, pirate. It's not really spelled totally correctly, but that's how it is. So there's cosmic anomalies, which is here. You can go to asteroid belts and kill the pirates that are hanging out there. And as you clear out either an anomaly or I think only these DED combat sites, once you clear it, there's a small chance that it will escalate, which is what they call it. And you'll get a waypoint mailed to you, or at least delivered to your little communications system there, that shows that you know, and it's available for a set period of time for you to go and clear out. And it's a higher level of loot, more challenging enemies. And once you've shown up, though, I think there's a timer to it, and other people can then start to scan you and that and anything you drop there, like a, I don't know, container or whatever. They can scan those down and find that as well. Many people will get high-level escalations and sell that bookmark itself because they don't want to go and run it for upwards of 150 million, literally just for the bookmark, because the loot that comes out of it is worth at least probably 180 to 200 million, and if like upwards of 1.1 to 2 billion, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I haven't done any really high-level escalations myself, but I've watched people on streams, and that's kind of how it looks. Incursions are EVE's version of raids, effectively. So you get together with a whole bunch of people in a very specific ship makeup. The more organized you are, the better. And they're pretty lucrative. So obviously, again, high security are less lucrative than low security or null. And that's something that you need to build to. Unfortunately, this is not something that you'll be able to do as an alpha character. The ships that are required are battleships or higher, and yeah, it's just really challenging. So, then we get into missions, and there are both, it looks like both PvP and PvE missions. This is generally what I've done a lot of, and I know it's silly, but I do a lot of combat missions. I don't do the mining missions very much, just because they're not terribly lucrative for the time that you put in. Distribution, good way to raise your corporation's standing. Epic arcs are like epic weapon quests from MMOs. Basically, you start on a long chain of quests. It'll probably take you a few play sessions to get through it all, if not a matter of weeks. And they're pretty challenging depending on which ones you do. And there are, I believe, 5. One for each of the main 4 factions, and one for the Sisters of Eve. The 4 main factions ones are considered level 4 and challenging level 4 missions, whereas the Sisters of Eve can be done as though they were like level 2 missions, I think. They're technically labeled as level 1, but some of them can be a little bit challenging if you're just in a frigate. So keep that in mind. Research and development missions as well helps you sort of get into some of these other things as well. Mission griefing, I'm a bit of a care bear, so I don't like doing that. You can scan down ships that are currently running missions, and you can kill them if you would like, if you're in lower null security space. You can steal their loot if you want to lure them into attacking you, because a lot of people will. And just in general, being a bad thieving pirate of sorts is what this little column is for. Getting into the PvP stuff, like I said, I'm not terribly experienced with all this, so I probably can't talk too deeply about any of it, but it's worth exploring. Obviously, there's a lot to do with PvP. I think the primary emphasis of the game is on PvP, so if you, like me, play the game and avoid it for the most part, you're probably missing out on a significantly large portion of the game, and that's just kind of the way it is. So, moving down, in the market, it's like EVE has a very advanced economic system, or economy, going in it, and you can pretty much get into it as much as you can the regular market in life. So if that's your thing, if you like playing the market, buying low, selling high, buying things cheaply in a place that's inconvenient, and hauling it, as you see over here, hauling it someplace more convenient and selling it at a great profit, there's all kinds of ways to do that in the game, especially if you consider, moving between Wormhole to low security space and so on. There's a lot of opportunity there. So boosters are the drugs. They use the gas that you'll be harvesting, and they're mostly illegal, but there are ways to make them and sell them that are that don't have very high risk. And then you can get into structures, capital ships and capital production, Tech 3 production, Tech 2, anything above Tech 1, and you're really pretty involved in manufacturing because there's a lot of investment. You can see the ISK involved here is huge for capital ship manufacturing as well as structures. But it's pretty big for anything above Tech 1. Generally, the people who are making any money on most of the stuff that you require are very advanced manufacturers, and they've got all of their efficiencies worked out. They're doing their manufacturing in high efficiency citadels and things, and they've got it all worked out. So if you just show up on the scene with one blueprint that you like, you know, I don't know, let's say EM projectile rounds, right? Small ones, because you use them a lot, you think you can make them and sell them for a profit. You're going to be hard pressed in most areas to actually sell that at a profit unless you're heavily invested, skill point wise and financially, in manufacturing. So that's one way, is you can literally spend all of your time just manufacturing. There's hauling, like we talked about, and taking things from point A to point B. Sometimes point A and point B are in nullsec. Sometimes they're in wormholes. Sometimes it's just across vast swaths of space with nothing in it. So if you have the time to make a 50 jump run with your very slow hauler, you can make a little bit of money doing so. Even if you're going through high sec, though, you need to be very careful. People still set up stings and at choke points that are sort of where they know you're going to have to navigate through, and they will wait for you as you ship things. So be smart, do your research, and good hauling. Extraction. Now there's mining, which is pretty self-explanatory. Planetary interaction is a little bit less self-explanatory and something I haven't gotten into myself. I've heard that it's not terribly lucrative, especially for the amount of time that you need to put into it. But moon mining as well, it has a relatively high level of investment that's needed, and as you can see, it's relatively high difficulty as well, as it's a limited resource and people are vying for it on a regular basis. So that's it. This is your career tree for EVE Online, and I guess if there is anything, I don't know, if there's anything that I can do to, I guess, make better sense of this, then by all means let me know. But for now, this is your starting ground. You have all of the ships necessary to get into sort of the early levels of all of these things. You've got your venture for mining and gas cloud harvesting. You've got your industry ship, which for me is the Nereus. And that's for your manufacturing and just cargo hauling and shipping. You've got some combat ships, some that are better for PvP, some that are better for PvE. You've got a destroyer, you've got an exploration ship. You're pretty much squared away. So it's up to you. Again, I just did an image Google search on EVE Online careers, and this came up, and it's, I think, a regularly updated form that somebody keeps up over here, and they've got a Creative Commons license on it, so it's very nice of them to share that. But yeah, so if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I keep talking about how I'm gonna break out into other videos and other games, but I'm building up to it, and hopefully you'll stick with me as I do. I don't have the laser focus on EVE Online that many people do, but I'm gonna be trying to make the occasional series of videos, maybe a few each week, sort of going through life as an alpha, just because I don't really want to be throwing money into a game that I'm not, really playing actively, outside of sort of video creation and helping you. So at least that way, I know that there are a lot of people who are alpha players and want to stay that way, just because of money constraints. And hopefully we'll get into this a bit, and you'll see all of the various things that you're still able to do and do well in the game in spite of that. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.